Hi, thank you for joining me today. And today's process video is for One Sketch Three Ways, a series that I create on with my friends Jackie and Helen. I'll leave all the details down below. And once a month we choose a sketch to work on, and the three of us show three different interpretations of the same sketch. So today's sketch, you can see in the top left hand corner there, has been created by Jackie. It's an absolutely gorgeous sketch. I was really excited to work with this one, and I'm going to be using Jan Hadfield's Groovy Darlin collection to document my pumpkin spice latte that I had with my daughter on the way back from doing a market for her brother the other week. So I'm pulling out the greens and blues from this collection, a little bit of the pink, but first of all I wanted to create a lovely mixed media background. So I used scattered straw distress oxide ink with my brayer to create just some yellow in the background. And then I'm going to come in with tea dye now and use some of my Hey Little Magpie stamps to stamp on that background. So first of all, I'm using this Arrows long stamp from the directions set, and then I'm going to come in with some of the brush strokes set as well, just to add a different colour and create those layers on the background before I start coming in with the papers. So this picture, as I say, is Amelia and I. We'd been at Kenyon Hall Farm, which is a local farm that does sunflower fields and pumpkin patches and things like that. And we'd been doing a market for James because he was down in Loughborough doing his weight training. So Amelia and I were doing one market and Ross was doing a different market for him. And at the end of the day, I said to her, let's go to Starbucks on our way home because we passed it, and just go through the drive-through and get our coffee. Annually, we go and get one coffee from Starbucks for me to get my pumpkin spice latte. And it was so worth it. We had some nice drinks at the farm, but this was just something special, having this on the way home. So I just snapped a photo, well, Amelia snapped a photo while we were waiting in the queue to get round the roundabout, and that's what I'm scrapping today. So you can see I've taken that brushstroke stamp and I'm just layering it down in certain places, doing first and second generation stamping, and I've wet the ink first just so that it bleeds a bit onto the paper. Excuse me. So I'm going to map my photo onto some white cardstock. This is a 4x6 photo, but I've trimmed down some of the negative space at the top of the picture. There, it was just the top of the card that you could see, and there was no need for that. So I've just matted it onto some white cardstock, and then I'm going to map that onto black, just to provide that definition against the other colours that are going to come in from the pattern papers. So just trimming that down, and I always have a very small border, only a couple of mil. But it just, you can see how it just makes that pop. So to have that strip of paper underneath the photo going horizontally, I wanted to use this green stripe. You can see in the photo we've got the green of the Starbucks coffee mug wrap, and also the green of the tree in the background. So that was why I chose this one. And then when I flipped it over then, I noticed that it was this lovely floral with green. So I'm going to use that as that secondary strip going underneath the photo. Now this piece wasn't quite big enough, but because it's going under the photo it was easy enough just to snip it in half and tuck it under there. Now I want to create that strip going vertically on the left hand side. So first of all I grabbed from the ephemera pack, this is from the papery pack, that lovely film strip, and then I'm going to cut a piece of this blue with the white hearts on, just to create some height. I've already got the stamping in the background, so I don't want to cover too much of that. So I'm just placing things and deciding where everything's going to go. So I found this guest check ticket in the papery pack, and I thought that would work really nicely as another layer behind my photo. And then for that circular element in the top left hand corner, I wanted to use my Viewmaster reel. So again, grabbing the Hey Little Magpie dies and just cutting the larger one of those two. Now because I've got the black behind that photo, I wanted to bring it around the page a little bit. We've got it on the guest check layer going behind the photo, so I'm going to mount this film strip Viewmaster reel onto black card and just cut it out, and that just shows the black behind the holes in the Viewmaster reel. Of course we've also got the black in that film strip that I've added from the papery pack. So just trimming that out and just angling my scissors so that I cut slightly underneath the Viewmaster so that you don't see any of the black around the edges, just in the bits that I want it to show. And then I'm just going to fiddle and fuss a little bit here, deciding whether it goes under or over that film strip. So the layers are starting to build up really nicely. So I'm just going to distress the edges and start getting this stuck down. I think with the grungy look of the background, with the mixed media background, the distressing the edges of the papers just works for this layout. So just using my ATG to get that stuck down. And as I said before, I really don't want to cover all this stamping, so I'm just being a little bit careful where I position that, and then using my T-square to make sure that it is straight on the page. I decided that this piece was a little bit too long, so I'm just trimming down one set of stripes, if you like, and then distressing all the edges again. So while I'm doing this, please don't forget to check the description box down below to see Helen and Jackie's channels and their videos. Please do go and give them a like. It's so lovely creating with them each month. It's really interesting because we all have different styles and seeing what we all come up with from the same sketch. There's also a Facebook group, so if you're on Facebook, do come and join us. It's free to join, no advertising, just 3 girls who are passionate about scrapbooking. So come and check it out. We've got albums for each month that we're creating. It's always the first Sunday of the month, and we love to see you joining in and seeing what you come up with from this same sketch. I just hope it inspires you to have some me time and do some scrapping. So you can see things are starting to come together. I've stuck down that guest check piece, and now I'm going to stick these 2 pieces to the back of the photo. Takes a few goes, and when I do this I realise actually that I've used the wrong side. So roll off that ATG tape and start again. And then once I stick it down, again, when I put the right hand side on, I realise that the left hand side is jutting out a little bit too far, so I do have to move that in. And that's the beauty of using ATG. You do have that little period of grace where you can move things about. If you use wet glue, it sticks pretty quickly, so you don't quite have that time. So just checking again that those 2 pieces are level, so it looks like one piece going behind the photo, and then this is where I realised that I needed to move it in a little bit. So just doing the same thing, using my ruler to check that it lines up, and then tucking those other pieces back in to the left hand side. And I want to bring something else in because it's there aren't enough layers for me. I like lots of layers on my layouts, so just going to glue this down, and then you'll see I do bring some other bits in afterwards. And I was happy with the positioning, and because I've buffed about so much, I'm just peeling things up to get them stuck down if possible, so that I'm not moving them and then forgetting where they were. So just adding dots of glue on this film strip to get that stuck down. The wet glue is definitely far easier to stick that down than messing about with the ATG. And then just a little dot of glue there to keep it stuck down. So this is another die from Hey Little Magpie. It's the notebook border dies, so I'm just going to add that in craft to the left there. I turn it round 380 degrees. I decide I want the notebook pointing out to the left rather than the right. So that's just going to stick all the way down there, underneath that green floral paper, but on top of everything else. And it lines up with that blue heart paper, even though it's on top of everything else. I just felt that was the best place for it. So now into the 6x12 stickers, and I find some of the lovely starburst type patterns, and I'm just going to add that in the top left hand corner. It just fills that gap quite nicely. And I add 3 there. There we go. And then coming in with this gorgeous ampersand, once again, another die from Hey Little Magpie. We've got a set of ampersands, and I just love those as a nice structural piece on a layout. I just felt that this needed something behind it. It looked a little bit lost on top of all those pattern papers. So I tried this piece, but it's way too small. So I do find another piece in a minute to add underneath that just as a grounding piece. So I use this pink swatch, and that works really nicely. So you can see I've got my 3 areas of clusters: top left, bottom left and bottom right. That flare badge is one of our new canvas flares, the 1 1/4 inch canvas flares, and it says pumpkin spice everything. So I thought that was very appropriate, because pumpkin spice does seem to take over autumn nowadays, doesn't it? So just messing about with that black and white piece. That is actually an inside piece from that film strip that I used on the left hand side. I always keep the bits that are left on die cuts because you never know where you're going to be able to use them. This little butterfly is from the ephemera pack, so I'm just going to pop that at the top left. It just adds a nice pop of colour. Everything else is quite neutral, so adding that really changes things. And then a tangle of thread behind my flare badge. It just looked really bare without it. I do like having a tangle of thread behind my flare. It's just black cotton, just normal sewing cotton. So popping that down there, and then I'm going to go through my drawers on my desk. I've got a set of tiny acrylic drawers, and I just keep lots of bits and pieces in them that I might want to add to layouts. So first of all, just adding another tangle of thread to the top left hand corner, just to create some balance, because I've got it in the bottom right. I thought adding a bit in the top left would be nice. So here's some bits from my drawers. You can see there's one of them there. So a little wood veneer arrow from JD3D. He sells a pack of these little arrows and it's so cute. And then I found another arrow here. Now these are the large love arrows that we sell at Hey Little Magpie. He cut them at the wrong size, but actually I really like that scale, so I think I might get him to do some packs of that size of arrow because it is nice. One of the little bits and pieces, this is one of the fabric tabs with a little flower on it, and then I'm just going through these old stickers just to see if there's anything I can add, and I find this sticker that says love this, so I think that's going to work nicely at the top there. And then what else do I find? One of these tabs that says it's a Project Life sticker, and it just says Saturday, but it was Saturday, so I thought that would work nicely up there. And then these yellow stickers, I just found a tiny one that says happy, so that's going to lie on top of that ampersand. So now back into my stamps, and I'm just bringing out these little arrows and with my black ink, just to add a few more little arrow strips about the page, just pointing into the photo. Just creates more interest and brings that black around the page once again. So two there, one at the bottom pointing up to the photo, and then one at the top pointing down to the photo. And all these just add little bits of layers to make the layout interesting. One at the side here, and this is just a ghost because it was second generation stamping. So now I'm going into my Florence alphabets from Bella Boulevard. I adore these alphabets, and I've chosen the craft colour again because it works really nicely with that craft notebook edge that I've added, and I'm calling it Carbucks because it was Starbucks we went to. So journaling underneath that, because I have to have my journaling, and then I'm going to use my roller date stamp to add the date at the bottom, which is 14th of September. And then I remember that I've got the little enamel dots from Jan Hadfield's previous collection, Starburst, I forget. But there are some really nice little starburst shapes in there and hearts, so I'm just going to add a few of them. I struggled a little bit, they're so tiny, and my nails as I get older seem to be getting thicker, so it was a bit more fiddly, but I used my pokey tool just to help me position things, and I managed to finish a little sheet of those, just scattering them about the page. So some at the top there on to the right of the Viewmaster, some at the bottom left here, and then just a tiny little star. I have one left next to the date, and a heart next to the title. Just fiddling about to get those stuck down. And finally I'm going to come in with some gold splatters, just top left and bottom right, and predominantly a little bit to the right hand side of the layers as well. Again, just one more layer on that background, and that's it done. I hope I've provided you some inspiration. I can't wait to see what you all create. Bye.